before you have to sing another verse, I'm going to hurry. Good morning. Welcome. Please be seated. You are a hardy group. I commend you for being here this morning. I imagined I would preach to Dan. So, nice to see you all. Now, let's begin with a thought experiment. Imagine heaven as a material place, a real place full of delights, people you love, and glorious, like the best vacation you've ever had. Got that picture? Now, in your imagination of heaven, is everyone on their cell phone or screens? Is that heaven to you? Can you imagine if Jesus came today, would he exorcise demons and heal via a YouTube video? Would he just send that around? I thought about all of this as I read the cover article of The Atlantic magazine for February, announcing that this is the anti-social decade, the period unparalleled in history when too many people are deliberately pursuing the comforts of isolation, seeking the solace and security of screens, even as they actually harm and hamper our happiness. Now, we all know the dangers of too much tech in our lives, too much social media, but the authors pointed out a new one, at least to me. Americans now are much more likely to choose to dine in restaurants alone. According to Open Table, solo dining has increased 29% in the last 2 years. And the number one reason is the desire for me time. Now, of course, no one would take issue with the need for solitude, but that's different from isolation. Isolation is disconnection. Isolation is to ignore our natural, innate warnings, which loneliness ignites and which are a cue to us to go out and visit with people. The seduction of social media and screens, internet shopping, and even Kindle have overridden our natural desire to be sociable. The American Institute for Boys and Men found that men and women need something which is hard to define, and is lost when we pursue a life of isolationist comforts. And they call it neededness. We need to be needed. We need to know that we can count on people, and we need to know they can count on us. They go on to say that at some level, we all need to feel that we're a jigsaw piece that's going to fit into a jigsaw puzzle somewhere. This neededness can come in several forms: social, economic, or communitarian. But again, as I said, our children and partners need to know they can count on us, and we need to know we are count-onable. And in place of this neediness, despair is creeping in. Feeling unneeded is actually, in some cases, literally fatal. Now, I know that you are well aware of all the dangers and warnings, but I'm raising these today because of tomorrow. Tomorrow, January 20th, is our nation's commemoration of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the inauguration of Donald Trump, and also the start of a week the Episcopal Church, in conjunction with other churches, is launching, entitled Migration with Dignity Action Week. So we have all those three things coming together tomorrow, which seems like an odd convergence to me, but there we are. Now, Martin Luther King said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." He implored and charged and warned us about the dangers of keeping silent in the face of mass injustice. He advocated radical hospitality, meaning to see, to regard, to acknowledge, to welcome, to invite, and to stand with others, particularly those on the margins of society. But I fear now that before we can even think about offering radical hospitality, we would need to be a much more robust and secure we. If Jonathan Haidt, who's the author of The Anxious Generation, is that a book you all know? And the Atlantic article are accurate, we have lost our sense of belonging to one another, of a robust, enduring community. And we need to create that, recreate it, or create it for ourselves. We need to be courageous and bold. We need to disrupt by talking, by chatting in person, face to face. A bold move right now. We need to interrupt the screen hiders and talk to them. Go to libraries, bookstores, grocery stores, clothing stores, museums, concerts, theaters. Seek out places where you can be with other people. You and I, and the disruption that somebody needs, that we probably all need. Now, it's tempting to follow Jesus here. Why should I be concerned about this? He says. I'm not ready to act yet. But like Jesus, we do indeed need to act, ready or not. As this week, as I mentioned, is also Migration with Dignity Week, I wonder how you feel and what you think about the planned mass deportations. Our diocese has been offering advice for the last many months for schools and other institutions about what to do when the authorities come knocking, particularly helping families to identify who will pick up the kids from school if their parents can't do it because they're detained. Now, I'll confess to you, for me, this is a really emotional issue. The image of our most vulnerable members of Christ's family being swooped down upon and separated from their families and sent to who knows where is horrifying. And yet, there are some real constraints on our ability to absorb everyone who wants to settle in the United States. It's easy to invoke our baptismal covenant and vocation as disciples to come down hard on only one side of this issue. All are children of God and all deserve to be safe and secure. Yet, as I said, there are many reasonable concerns here. So I want to ask of all of us to go and seek more factual information and talk to one another about this issue, particularly to people who might feel differently or think differently than you. Be willing to learn from the other side. Talk to a lot of people, everybody, as many people as you can, in person about the issue of justice and immigrants and deportation. And then speak up and speak out. Dan has asked us to undertake an exploration of neighborliness in these few weeks. And I don't think he meant tech neighbors. We are the church which radiates God's grace, but not in blue light alone. Rather, bright, luminous, brilliant light of God shining through our bodies, our voices, our smiles, in hugs, and the reassurance of physical presence. So let us go forth into the world and talk, chat, chit-chat, compliment, ask a question, even if you know the answer. Start a conversation, engage, find every opportunity to be a neighbor, live and in person. Can I get an amen? Thank you.